is set to sign an executive order at this hour directing the Education Secretary to take all necessary steps to facilitate the closing of her department and to return education authority to the states.
A fact sheet provided by the White House says the order will ensure effective and uninterrupted delivery of services, programs, and benefits Americans rely on. The Department of Education operates the federal student loan program and funding for low-income school districts. Fully closing or eliminating the department would likely require congressional approval, and lawmakers just approved Education Department funding in the bill preventing a government shutdown.
Fox's Jared Halpern at the White House. Opponents argue the change will take away critical services for students and families. 3 suspects are under arrest in 3 of the states where Tesla dealerships and charging stations have been attacked.
One of these defendants is out of Oregon, and he was found with an AR-15 rifle. He was arrested after throwing approximately 8 Molotov cocktails at a Tesla dealership. You also have someone who was arrested here in Colorado for arson and also graffiti at a Tesla dealership.
Fox's Alicia Acuna. Federal prosecutors accuse the 3rd suspect in South Carolina of writing profane messages against Tesla and President Trump and trying to light a charging station on fire. The FBI is investigating attacks in multiple states. Also, just getting word that a federal judge is now blocking Elon Musk's Doge team from accessing personal information in the Social Security Administration for now. On Wall Street, stocks finished lower after a choppy day of trading. The Dow down 11 points at the bell. America is listening to Fox News.
Oh no, stomach issues again?
Stomach issues?
Who are you?
Your pancreas. I could be the real reason for your diarrhea, gas, bloating, stomach pain, or loose oily stools.
I thought it was my stomach.
People often do, but any of these symptoms could mean having a condition called exocrine pancreatic insufficiency, or EPI. With EPI, the pancreas doesn't release enough enzymes to break down food, but EPI is manageable. Use the symptom checker on identifyepi.com and speak with your doctor. That's identifyepi.com. Sponsored by AbbVie.
Are you having trouble hearing? Hearing loss can devastate the quality of your life. Now, there's an affordable fix for you or your loved one. Rated the best hearing aids of 2025 by Forbes Health, Audion Hearing has the highest quality hearing aids at the lowest prices, just $189.
I actually like them better than my old $5,000 hearing aids.
I could not believe how my hearing and life changed.
Join over 1 million happy customers by going to audionhearing.com. That's AUDIEN hearing.com.
A manhunt continues in Colorado where 2 immigrants escaped an ICE detention facility.
The city of Aurora is blaming a power outage that allegedly caused a door to unlock at the Denver Contract Detention Facility Tuesday, allowing 2 illegals to escape. Immigration and Customs Enforcement says it notified Aurora police, saying the department refused to help in the search for 24-year-old Guilan DeVito Romero of Venezuela and 32-year-old Joel Jose Gonzalez, both who remain at large. The Aurora PD responding in a statement saying it doesn't enforce federal immigration law and cannot participate in large-scale searches, but that if confirmed the men are still in the city with a warrant, that it will assist.
Fox's Jeff Manasso. China wants its citizens studying in the U.S. to be protected after a congressional request for information from universities.
6 universities, including Stanford and Carnegie Mellon, were told by a congressional panel that the Chinese government is embedding spies to access sensitive technologies. China then accusing the US of overstretching the concept of national security and urging the government to protect the rights of Chinese students. They make up about a quarter of all foreign nationals studying in the United States.
Fox's Jonathan Savage, the head of the House Select Committee on the Chinese Communist Party, accusing colleges of putting U.S. research at risk for financial gain. A rapper's unfinished music ends up online.
A former studio engineer is charged with stealing unreleased Eminem music and selling it online. Joseph Strange is charged with copyright infringement and interstate transportation of stolen goods. Studio employees reported the theft to the FBI in January, saying unreleased music that was still in development was being played on multiple websites.
Fox's Monica DeLuca. Strange, who lost his studio job in 2021, could face up to 15 years in prison. I'm Lisa Brady, Fox News.
decent?
Yeah, I like it.
Okay. All right. Hans D. out of the gates, just telling us if his music is good or not. I know we need new music.
Yeah, I can get on that for you soon.
You've mentioned that before, so maybe we got to get that done. Oh, good morning, everybody. It is The Drive, ESPN Radio 93.5. The Drive with Tay and Piper. No Pipes. He is in Milwaukee. And no Kyle, of course, off this week for spring break. I don't even know if Illinois is off for spring break. I think, to be honest with you, I think he's just took the week off.
Yeah.
I think they're still in classes, to be honest with you. And he's just like, oh, yeah, we're on spring break. I'm like, oh, really? Well, that's cool.
Yeah, any excuse to just get out of here. And
he's at Cam's right now drinking. He's 21 now.
Yeah.
So he can do that.
That's awesome.
Do you remember your 21st birthday? You're not that old. You're 25, right?
Mm-hmm.
So
a long,
are you
long
chewing
time
gum?
ago.
Okay.
All right. I've done this once or twice before.
Okay. See?
All right. It's upper decky now. I'm not chewing it anymore. I hope you didn't hear that.
I didn't mean to have to yell at Hans right off the bat. I'm like a father, and I'm like, it's like you're in church, you know. Are you chewing gum? It's like, what? Does God not like gum? He helped. I mean, he created it. So I don't know why that's bad.
It's natural.
Hey, the NCAA tournament is off and running. We have 4 games that are completed. Now, I'll just tell everybody, you know, the few of you that aren't watching games and are listening to Hans and I right now, but I'll just let everybody know that on occasion we are going to throw scores out and talk about games. So if it is something that you do not want to hear, then you might not want to hear today. I don't know what else to say. Or I'll try to give you a little bit of a heads up when we are going to mention some scores and also some winners. The first game of the day, Louisville and Creighton, was won by the Blue Jays. I love watching Creighton play basketball. They are really skilled when they get it going. Now, of course, they made every shot they threw up in the first half to get a big lead on Louisville. And then in the second half, whenever the Birds would get within maybe 10 or 12, then Creighton would always hit a big shot. So the Blue Jays advance. I think that's 4 years in a row now, Hans, that they have won a first-round game. That's pretty impressive.
That's great. Yeah.
That's pretty impressive.
Can they make it to the Final Four? Can they actually extend this?
Well, no. I mean, no, because they've got Auburn next.
Yeah, right.
Which I don't think
I'd be happy about that. Win the first game.
Heck yeah.
Great.
Now, Auburn only up 10, by the way, at halftime of their game against Alabama State, 41-31, just an FYI. So Creighton, the 9 seed, so I guess you would say the first upset, although I think they were favored going into this thing. So Creighton advances to the second round. The other winners today is good start for the Big Ten. Purdue gets it done against High Point. High Point made that a game.
Yeah, that was a great game to watch.
It really was. And Kaufman-Wren and Braden Smith both had big games for Purdue. I'll let you bring up that box score maybe at some point and let me know what you found out of that, because I know they both had big games. In fact, I may be able to do it, or do you think you can get her done? So Purdue advances. They will face the winner of McNeese and Clemson. And, again, if you're not wanting to know what's going on in these games, just here's a heads up. McNeese up 25-11 with 3:16 to play in the first half. So McNeese out to a big start. I think it's just McNeese now. It used to be McNeese State. I believe that's where Steve McNair played before you don't even know who that is.
I'll effort that.
He was a quarterback with the Titans forever.
Oh,
he was a really good quarterback in the NFL and was murdered, actually, in a weird thing. So, but I believe it was McNeese State that Steve McNair went to college there. But now it's just McNeese, and they are winning against Clemson 25-11.
Steve McNair went to Alcorn State.
Oh, it was Alcorn State. Dang
Different
it.
State.
That's my bad. So McNeese, again, a team that a lot of people, including Hans D., had as a win today and an upset. So they are up early on Clemson. That's kind of an interesting thing, that game right there, because like Clark Kellogg thought Clemson would be a Final Four kind of team. A lot of people liked Clemson coming in, including me, who had them in the Sweet 16.
Wow.
So I'm needing a rally here by Clemson. But that is a game where it seems like those that liked Clemson had them going pretty deep, and but yet a lot of the bettors and a lot of the predictions had McNeese getting this game. So they're up 25 11 in that one. Other finals, Wisconsin gets it done 85-66 over Montana. You let me know when you find these box scores, and then we can throw out some pertinent stats.
Yeah, I've got Purdue and High Point.
Okay.
Kaufman-Renn, he played for 29 minutes, 10 for 16 on field goals, 21 total points.
He had
Braden
a big
Smith,
second half.
Yeah,
How many
he did.
rebounds did Wren have?
He had 8.
Okay, so not quite a double-double, but pretty solid.
I'm kind of surprised it was only 8. Because he did seem to be like the biggest guy on the court.
Well, he was in
against
foul
High
trouble
Point.
a lot of that first half.
Yes.
So, again, he did end up playing, like you said, 29 minutes, but he sat a lot of the first half and really was missing some shots early in that game. So, but Kaufman-Renn still finished strong, 21-8. We'll take that. How about Smith?
Braden Smith, 20 points, 6 assists, 2 steals, so kind of like an average game for him, I'd say.
I was going to say. How many assists?
6.
So, you said that, 6 assists. What was his shooting? I know
he was 6 for 19 field goals, 2 for 4 beyond the arc.
Okay.
6 for 8 free throws.
So not very efficient, 6 for 19. He was not shooting the ball very well against High Point, but
40 minutes.
They did enough. He played every minute of that game. Is that right?
Yeah.
Wow. And of course that game or that winner, will now play either McNeese or Clemson in the next game. Can you imagine getting to the Sweet 16 with wins over High Point and McNeese?
Oh, geez.
That is possible for Purdue now
Yeah.
if McNeese ends up winning this game against Clemson. Now, it does appear that McNeese is pretty solid, obviously, but from the optics of it, to be able to beat a 13 and a 12 seed to get to the Sweet 16, that doesn't happen very often that you get that path.
No,
so
that's amazing.
If that's what is in store for Purdue, then you feel yourself pretty blessed on that end. How about Wisconsin now? The 3 seed over Montana. Wisconsin will advance to play the winner of BYU VCU. That game early on, there's a lot of scoring already. VCU up 8-6 in the game against BYU. How about Wisconsin?
Wisconsin had 5 players in double digits.
Wow. I know Blackwell led the way, I believe,
Yeah,
right?
with 19 points. Stephen Kroll with 18. Nolan Winter with 10 points. And then Xavier Amos off the bench with 11 points.
Interesting. How about Tanji?
He was 15 points.
15, okay.
Somehow
I know.
Skipped over him.
He didn't do a ton, but always solid scoring there. But Blackwell and Tanji on the wing for Wisconsin. If you get one of those guys rolling the right way, then you're in good shape. And obviously that was Blackwell today. A kid that, of course, as you know, his dad, Glenn, played for Illinois back in the early 80s. You knew that.
Yeah, I knew that one.
And, of course, they did a story on The Journey, Big Ten, The Journey, and Glenn Blackwell, while they were doing the story on his son, John, Glenn was decked out in Illinois gear.
Oh, no
So
way.
I sent a tweet out the other day. I don't know if you saw that, but I was like, boy, it'd be interesting if maybe Illinois was able to send some cash that way and have
That'd be nice.
Glenn talk his son into coming to Illinois, but we don't know if that's actually going to happen.
Wisconsin.
So I know, and they every year it seems like they have a really good wing. Orden this year too with Blackwell and Tanji. By the way, at 4:05, I was going to let everybody know we're going to visit with Paul Fritchner, who is a sports broadcaster. He covers the Xavier squad. All of a sudden, I can't think of Xavier's name. Now, how bad is that?
No, it's not bad.
It is bad that I am like getting to that age where I'm just forgetting the most obvious things in the world. Xavier. Are you kidding, Lon? He does do the Sean Miller podcast. So Paul is very well in tune with Xavier, the Musketeers.
Yes,
That's
yeah.
what it is. Gee-many, Lon. And I didn't have to look, by the way. It just finally came to me. So now I'm on like a 15. I'm like the delay button in radio. So like 7 or 8 to 10 seconds later, it comes into my mind when I try to think of something, and then it's like 10 seconds later, there it is.
For me, it takes a day.
Well, that's not good at your age. It's not good at all. McNeese, by the way, 31-13 right now on Clemson, and there's 32 seconds left in that game. We may have to switch that, although I think they're showing it right now on CBS here, and I've got the Auburn game on. So that's what you got today. Again, Creighton, Wisconsin, Purdue, and then Houston won big.
Yeah.
Houston 78-40 over SIU Edwardsville. The best news of the day for SIUE, they were up 2-0. So that's one of those where, at least you didn't beat us wire to wire, Houston.
Right. That's true.
We threw a good we threw a big one at you early to take that 2-0 lead. So, but Houston gets that done and they advance as well. So today, I'm sorry, we got plenty of games today. Tomorrow, Illinois, of course, will tip off around 8:45. That is on CBS, by the way. So primetime slot for the University of Illinois, and they will face those Xavier Musketeers.
Yes, they will. Past your bedtime.
Yes, it is. I'll have to stay up for that one, though. I think I can do it. We'll see, though. But that is one of those situations where that game, did you happen to see the Texas-Xavier game last night?
Yeah.
So Texas winning most of that game.
I know. And I was kind of happy about it because I was looking at that thinking, all right, we're going to be facing Texas. I like this matchup. They're not the best shooting team. I think we would be able to out-rebound them. I don't really want to face Sean Miller.
I
just
agree.
as a coach. Yeah, I was hoping for Texas, but I don't know. And then Xavier just fought back.
They did.
They kind of looked scary near the end there. I'm like, oh no.
Well, they did. Xavier did a good job late on Johnson, the stud. That is it Trey?
Yes.
Trey Johnson.
Yeah, he's good.
He's really good. He'll be a lottery pick.
Yeah.
And he had a big game for Texas, and he hit some big shots down the stretch. But it was peculiar to me that when Texas was leading by like 4 or 2 or even tied late in the game, they had about 3 straight trips down the court where Johnson, who was being guarded, don't get me wrong, Xavier was doing a good job on that end, but Texas did not get him the ball in a scoring position. And I'm like, what are you doing?
Yeah.
Like, why are you not just giving the ball to your potential or to your future NBA guy and letting him? I'd rather lose with him shooting than with some of these other guys. So Texas, again, a team that had about an 8 to 10 point lead on Xavier most of that game, and then Xavier stormed back. Now, can you pull that up? Because I should have had this up, and I apologize, but there was a young man for Xavier that had one heck of a game. He shot 8 for 9 from the court, from the field, and I believe 4 or 5 from the three-point line. So he kind of had his game. He's a guy that normally averages about 8 points a game. What is his name?
Marcus Foster.
Marcus Foster. So he ended up scoring what 19?
22 points.
And he averages about 8 a game.
Crazy.
So this is a kid that went 8 for 9 from the floor. And am I right?
Yeah, 4 for 5 beyond the arc.
5. Goodness sakes.
Great.
And overall, if you'll do me a favor and look at the percentage, shooting percentage for Xavier, both from the floor and three-point line. What were they from the floor?
From the floor, 55%. 3-point line, 48%.
Okay. You're going to win most games when you do that.
That's insane.
Now, maybe a lot of that can be blamed on Texas and their defense, but certainly you're having a game. I mean, the scary part for Xavier, in my mind, in a bad way, is you shot 55% from the floor and you shot 48% from the three-point line, and you trailed the majority of the game.
Right.
So I know I saw some tweets and from Illinois fans saying, I don't know if I want to play Xavier. They're experienced. They're a really experienced team. Sean Miller's a really good coach. He had a great run at Arizona, of course. But Texas basically controlled that game, and then Xavier basically played as well as they can play to win that game late. So, but there's still going to be a challenge, no doubt, for Illinois as they meet tomorrow night at 8:45. That game, of course, in Milwaukee.
Yeah, it felt like Texas just changed their game plan or something near the end.
It was weird.
I mean, since Xavier was starting to go on a roll there, but even then, they didn't go through Trey Johnson. Like, what are you guys doing?
I'm with you.
And it was just weird. And I don't know. This will be a good matchup for Illinois, but
it should be a really good matchup. You're not feeling great about the matchup?
I'm not. But we do have the height advantage.
Well, yeah,
for sure.
I mean, look, I'm not going to sit here and say I feel good about it because every time I do that, Illinois, goes out and just plays horrible.
Yeah, we know.
But that said, I feel like Illinois is the better team.
Yeah,
going into this thing. So, but we'll see. We'll see what kind of a what kind of an advantage it is maybe for Xavier to have played a game already. Of course, you look at it in the sense that most of their starters played major minutes in that game in an 86-80 win, so they only have 1 day now of prep, obviously. But so does Illinois essentially have 1 day of prep for Xavier, and then, of course, all day Friday. So they got plenty of time to rest to get ready for that game. But Illinois does know now who they will play in round one, which has never happened before. Illinois is always, you know, when the bracket comes out, we've always known who we were going to play. So it's interesting that it's one of those now where you finally do know after the game last night, and it'll be Xavier, and again, in Milwaukee, which will be fun for Illinois fans to get up there. I know that Creighton-Louisville game, that was played in Lexington. So a lot of Louisville fans were at that game, but Creighton took them out early, hitting some shots early, just knocking down 3 after 3 in that game to keep that where it was, essentially, which Creighton led by 15 or more for the majority of that game as well. So it was interesting as they went along.
I like this VCU-BYU matchup.
Yeah, it should be fun. That should be a big scoring game.
Yeah, 14-15 right now, VCU up. But I chose BYU to come out on top.
All right.
They've been on a roll, just like Florida, kind of.
I agree.
That type of vibe.
You know how I always give you crap about everything. You know, you always say that leading score first.
I know.
Yeah, I could tell right when you did it, you winced. And I was like, oh, Lon's not going to let me let that one down. 15-14, BYU trailing by 1 in that game. But I'm with you in the East region, of course. That should be a barn burner most of that game. Of course, Auburn has stretched their lead now to 50-36 on Alabama State. And again, at halftime now, McNeese 31-13 over Clemson. So Clemson has scored a total of 13 points at halftime.
That's a low-scoring game.
Right, and great defense, of course, for McNeese.
Yeah,
in that
13.
13 points at half.
Wow.
And you are what, a 5 seed, I believe, is Clemson. So interesting. Again, if you're Purdue or you're a Purdue fan, and I'm not saying that McNeese would be a walkover, and I'm not saying that High Point was an easy win for Purdue, because certainly High Point gave Purdue everything they could handle today for most of that game. But you have a chance, Purdue, to play a 13-seed High Point and a 12-seed McNeese to get to a Sweet 16.
Not bad.
Where you would probably run into Houston. Houston looked really good today against SIUE. They will now play the winner of Gonzaga and Georgia. All right, we hope to hear from Brad Underwood today. They were in a press conference, I think, that just got finished. It was a 2:50 to 3:20 press conference. So when we get a chance to hear from Brad and the players, we'll play that. And again, a reminder at 4:05, we're going to get nitty-gritty with Xavier, and we're going to visit with Paul Fritchner, who covers the Xavier Musketeers. He will give us his take and the lowdown on what Illinois can expect out of Xavier coming up tomorrow, which should be a pretty fun game. Illinois released some stats on this NCAA, and it was pretty interesting. I was looking at some of them today. The Illini making their 35th all-time appearance in the NCAA tournament, and 5th straight, of course. Well, you have the COVID year, but would have been 6, but, you know, it didn't happen. So it's 5 straight for the Illini. They rank 5th among Big Ten teams, 18th among all schools for most NCAA tournament appearances. So 5th in the Big Ten, 18th overall with their 35, which now will be his 35th appearance in the NCAA tournament. Illinois also one of only 3 Big Ten teams and one of just 13 nationally to earn a bid in each of the last 5 NCAA tournaments. So pretty remarkable run that Brad Underwood is on for this Illini squad. Brad Underwood, just the 2nd head coach in school history to lead Illinois to at least 5 straight NCAA tournaments. The other guy to do that, of course, Lou Henson. I'm guessing a Lon Kruger or a Bill Self would have gotten that done, but they weren't here long enough.
No.
And so I know for a fact Bill Self would have gotten that done.
Yeah.
But Brad Underwood and Lou Henson, now the only Illinois coaches to lead their teams to at least 5 straight NCAA tournaments. Lou Henson's record for the straight NCAA tournaments, you want to guess? You know it's at least 5.
I'll say 7.
8.
Whoa.
8 straight. from 1983 to 1990. And, of course, the only thing that stopped that was Bruce Pearl.
Wow.
In the Deion Thomas stuff. So the 5 straight tournament appearances, the longest since participating 8 years in a row from 2000 through 2007. Of course, that was with 2 different coaches. Illinois overall in the NCAA tournament, 45-35. So 56% winning percentage.
Not bad.
So better than a losing percentage.
Yeah, totally.
Right?
Jeez.
So 45-35 for the Illini. That is helped, of course, by a couple of big runs at 89 and then, of course, 05 when they won, 4 games in 89, 5 in 05 to get to the national championship game. Couldn't get that 6th one against those Tar Heels. Illinois, 45. Those wins in the tournament ranks 21st among all colleges.
Wow.
So not bad.
No.
21st overall in terms of wins in the NCAA tournament. So
We just have a great history.
We do.
I'm just used to the horrible Illinois for like the majority of the time I've grown up. This is all kind of like, whoa.
That
really?
is kind of funny
But,
because, like, when I grew up, Illinois was pretty stinking good.
Yeah.
When I got into the point where I was like the 80s, when I was kind of like I was the perfect time to come into a teenage years because the 80s belonged to the Illini. You know, they were winning in football, they were winning in basketball. Well, now they're kind of doing that.
Right.
So that's good. Like Andrew's experiencing that.
Yes. Yeah.
So that's good to know. By the way, those 45 NCAA tournament wins are 3rd most among teams yet to win a national championship.
Jeez.
Purdue has won now 50 after winning today. So Purdue has 50 wins in the NCAA tournament and yet to have won a national title. The other is Gonzaga.
Wow.
46 wins, for the Zags without an NCAA tournament. So it's never good to be on that stat.
No.
So never good to be on that stat. But, yeah, if Gonzaga were to lose to Georgia and Illinois were to win against Xavier, the Illini now would then be tied with Gonzaga for the 2nd most wins without an NCAA tournament.
I'm just kind of talking here, but I feel like that's almost more painful for Gonzaga, at least recently, because they've always been a solid team, generally, like, I think 1 seed, close to that, like a top seed in the bracket, and not to win a championship, but have all these wins stacked up.
Exactly.
Oh, I cannot imagine. But Illinois, I mean, we're just getting back into it.
Yeah, exactly. We'll be all right. I got more stats.
Amazing.
I brought stats.
Look at you.
Thanks to Derek Burson, who does a great job as the sports information director for the Illini. Since 1975, when the field was increased to 32 teams, Illinois has advanced to the Sweet 16 9 times, the Elite 8 5 times, and the Final Four twice. Of course, as just mentioned, in 89 and, of course, 05. Now, again, that's since 1975 when the field was increased to 32. Illinois made 5 appearances in the Final Four, finishing as the national runner-up in 2005. They placed 3rd in 1949, 51, and 52. And they tied for 3rd. I don't know how that works, in 1989. So I guess, I see, because they didn't award a 3rd place at that point. It used to be back in the 40s and 50s, they actually played for the 3rd place game.
I like that.
So if you lost, can you imagine, though?
No.
Imagine losing that game to Michigan in 89 and then having to play another game. Like, you'd be like, we don't want to play another game.
No. I like that as more basketball to watch.
Well, that is true. I mean, the fans would probably. I don't know if I'd even like that though. I guess at that point, 2 teams finish the year with wins.
No one wants to. Yeah.
Nobody wants to play for 3rd
place.
I'm with you.
End the season already.
Exactly. So, but yeah, that's what they did back in the day. So, yeah, I'm trying to think. In '89, it was Michigan, Illinois, Seton Hall, and I'm trying to think, who did Seton Hall beat? Finally, huh?
Yeah.
Who did Seton Hall beat to make the championship? We'll ask our listeners. Yeah, we'll ask our listeners. 217-359-2255. That is the Max Twin City Recycling text line. Again, 359-2255. Who did Seton Hall beat in '89 to make the national championship game against Michigan, which, of course, Michigan ended up winning. All right, I'll save some of these stats. I've got more stats.
That's amazing.
As we go along, but I'll save some of those. It is time for a commercial is what we need. Hans D joining me today. Again, we will talk to a Xavier. Paul Fritchner will get his thoughts on Xavier. Hopefully hear from Brad Underwood and the players as well, as they just finished a press conference in Milwaukee. The way they do that is the day before a game, Hans. It was pretty cool when I used to be able to cover it for television. And, of course, Derek doing that now for Illini Inquirer and also our station. But they usually would they'd have a press conference and then shoot. So, like, for instance, when Illinois is doing their press conference, Xavier's out on the court shooting.
Oh, I see.
And then they switch places where Xavier comes in, does their press conference, and Illinois goes out to shoot. I don't know if I had the order right, but that's how they did that. So It was always interesting when I would do it for television. I would cover the press conference for Illinois, and then I would sprint out to the court because it's in the same arena.
Yeah.
I would sprint out to the court to try to get just a few minutes of like Xavier, for instance, in this. Yeah, just for some B-roll. For my package that I would send back that night to WAND. So, yeah, I'm teaching you all the stuff.
Yeah.
You know, like if you just run a straight VO, that would be me just saying, Illinois and Xavier will play tonight. Boom, you just take video. The Musketeers got it done last night, beating Texas 86-80, blah, 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 blah. And this game, of course, will start tomorrow night at 8:45. That would be a VO, straight VO video.
Okay.
Now, do you know what a VOSOT is? V-O-S-O-T, a VOSOT?
S-O-T.
That would be video with sound on tape.
Oh.
Yeah, so then I would run the thing and the same story and say last night Texas lost to Xavier. Xavier gets it done, and after the game, head coach Sean Miller said he didn't care who he played. And he literally said that after the game. He's like, I really don't care.
I didn't take offense to that.
No, I didn't
I know
either.
some people did. I'm like, why?
No,
He's just happy he won.
That's what he said, and he backed that up. Yeah, he backed it up by saying, I don't care.
Yeah.
You know, because he said,
I don't blame him.
What do you think now about the Illini? And he's like, to be honest, I don't really care.
Yeah, good.
And he's like, I'm just excited that we're getting to that game.
Absolutely.
So it was good that if he just would have said, you know what, I don't care.
Yeah.
Then maybe left it
Sure.
at that, we'd be like, well, hold on a second, dude. That's kind of a weird take.
Right.
Kind of a weird angle to go on that. But
no, it was genuine.
Yeah, he backed it up with, hey, I'm just happy that we got there.
Yep.
So, yeah, I'm the same way. I'm the same way. I'll do one of those situations where I'll let that one go for Sean. But then I would take that sound bite.
Oh, yeah.
So that would be a VOSOT. And then a package, of course, would be you as the lead anchor saying, Illinois will face Xavier. They now know their opponent tomorrow or Friday night at 8:45. The Musketeers get it done against Texas and Dayton. Our own Lante was in Dayton and had this report.
I see.
You know, or something like that. Then you take the package, which is already pre-recorded.
Wow.
There, you can pay me like $40,000 because I just gave you
$40,000.
Yeah, that would be like what you would have learned in college.
Exactly.
Yeah. So just pay me. Let's call it $100.
All right, that's about 10% of my salary. All right.
Oh wait, but you're doing the show. We'll call it even. Okay, we'll just call it even. All right, 359-2255. If you want to weigh in again, 217-359-2255. We will get you updated again on some of the scores, and I'm going to look to see if the press conference has been posted for the Illini so we can run and hear some Brad Underwood and, of course, the players. And, again, 4:05, we'll talk to Paul Fritchner, who covers Xavier, and get his thoughts on the Musketeers. We'll do all that as we roll along. Hans D here, and we got Who You Got.
We do.
Okay, I wonder if we should do Who You Got. We may have to do that this hour.
Okay.
Because if next hour I finally get the link to the pregame with Brad Underwood and the players, we want to play that plus talk to Paul. We may not have time. So we're kind of doing this as we go here. So we'll make a decision on that, but we may do a little Who You Got this hour.
Sounds good.
Which is good to me. All right, we're back. It is The Drive.
From computer systems to brakes and tires too, at PDR, fixing cars is what they do. Remember, when you turn the key and the car won't run, call 367-9481 or use their dedicated text-only line at 383-0619. Additional information including repair quotes and online scheduling requests available from the website at pdrauto.com. Remember, they are what's best for your truck or car. They are PDR.
Want unbeatable prices on your next furniture purchase, but also seeking that local hometown feel? Look no further than Kelsey Furniture in Tuscola. Customers rave about their friendly, established staff, as well as their great selection, amazing prices, and second-to-none delivery service. They're a third-generation local business, and they've always got your best interests at heart. Find the look you love for less. Open 9 to 5 Monday through Saturday, but always available online at kelseyfurniture.com. That's kelseyfurniture.com.
Tim Culver, owner and president of Classic Plumbing and Air.
A plumber is a person that is well-rounded. They have education, they have experience, and they are versed in more than only one phase of plumbing. A plumber is someone that has experience in all three phases, and they understand how all three of these plumbing aspects work together as well.
Was in the heating and air conditioning business for approximately 30 years and then retired in 2021. So I came out of retirement because I'm very big on taking care of our local community. The most satisfying part of my job is when I know that I've done the right thing for the customer, taking care of the customer's happy, and when I walk out the door that I'm not afraid to put a sign out in front of their house that says, "This job was done by Chuck Thompson, Classic Plumbing and Air."
Visit them at classicplum.com.
It's time for spring cleaning, so why not turn your clutter into something amazing? At the Habitat for Humanity of Champaign County Restore, your donated furniture, appliances, and home goods help build homes, community, and hope right here in Champaign County. Dropping off is easy. Bring donations behind the Restore at 1914 Glen Park Drive during donation hours. Call 217-359-0507 or visit cuhabitat.org to schedule. Declutter your home and change lives. Donate to Restore today.
It's time to plan your summer swimming season. Urbana Park District is selling pool memberships to Crystal Lake Park Family Aquatic Center. Memberships are on sale through April. The pool opens Memorial Day weekend. Single, family, senior, and veteran rates available. Purchase memberships in person at Phillips Recreation Center, 505 West Stoughton, or at Urbana Indoor Aquatic Center. Call 217-367-1544 for details. Urbana Park District, you belong here.
Are you looking to save money and have clean energy in your home? Here's Scott Tess with the City of Urbana.
We're partnering to create this bulk purchase program. We're lowering the costs to install new geothermal systems for homes or businesses. So the city's role is to work on the development and procurement of the geothermal installer. We select a single installer for the program period and then set up a bulk purchase program with declining block pricing. We're helping communicate the opportunity and get folks to attend the geothermal power hours. Geothermal Urbana-Champaign is part of the city's commitment to a happier, healthier, climate-safe community.
Attend the Power Hour on Wednesday, March 26th at 5:30 p.m. at the Urbana-Champaign Friends Meeting House, 1904 East Main Street in Urbana. Tailored for houses of worship on Wednesday, March 26th. Program open to all in Champaign, Piatt, and Vermilion counties.
For more details, visit geothermaluc.org.
Craving a bowl of rich, flavorful ramen? At Susuru Ramen Bar, authentic Japanese ramen will warm your soul and satisfy your taste buds. Try the delicious signature dish, Tonkotsu Ramen, or fiery spicy miso ramen, plus crispy Japanese fried chicken. Every bite is packed with bold flavors. Check out the menu online, susururamen.uiuc.com. Looking for something quick and satisfying? Try the bento box, a perfect meal with everything you need in one box. Ideal for lunch or dinner, conveniently located in the heart of Campustown, just a short walk away. Whether you're dining or grabbing takeout, Susuru Ramen Bar has you covered. 621 East Green Street, Suite A in Champaign. Susuru Ramen Bar. Tapping into the Champaign life with Champaign Center Partnership. Learn more about obtaining radio ads as a member at champaignCenter.com.
It is The Drive, ESPN Radio 93.5. The Drive with Say and Piper, Lante, Hans D. We are doing some production work as we go here because Derek Piper, our buddy, our co-host, just texted me and said, hey, I can join you now if needed. So Hans is on the phone right now with Derek, or hopefully here quick, and we'll get Pipes on. And then, of course, next hour we'll try to get some post-game from the Illini, obviously, with their press conference today leading up to the Xavier game. And then, of course, Paul Fritchner who covers Xavier and is doing a great job right now because he's actually in communication with me right now. So right now, here's what I'm doing. I'm talking to you right before we go back on. Now I'm kind of talking to you while I'm talking to everybody else on the radio, while you're calling Piper, who had texted me to set this up. And in the meantime, Paul Fritchner is DMing me, helping me get basically the link. Yeah, he just put it up. He goes, there if you ever need it. See, these young kids.
Yeah.
So he goes, if you have a link, I can post that for people to listen. And I'm like, dude, I'm 54. I don't know how to do any of that, but I gave him all the pertinent information, and Paul literally just sent it to me. So Derek Piper, I'm like doing 6 things right now.
Multitasking.
This is March, where champions are made. He's studying Montana earlier this week. He's pulling out all the stops. This guy's going on a run. I love it.
I tell you what, I am over. This is why I needed those days, Derek.
We saved you for the playoffs.
Yeah.
We said it the whole time. We were saving you for the playoffs, and this is the reward we get. Load management works, baby. Let's keep it going.
So, yeah, load management. I couldn't think of the word. That's exactly right. Well, listen, I appreciate you calling and letting me know, or texting and letting me know that you can join us. So Illinois just got done with their press conference, and, of course, we're going to hope to run some of that next hour. Did we learn anything special in the press conference? In fact, at this point of the year, I'd hope that we didn't learn anything new because that would be something negative probably.
Yeah, it's one of those things media members kind of – those that you get to parachute in from Chicago and, like, they're doing their job. But for those that are on the day-to-day, it's kind of like, what do we ask these guys that's new?
Right.
Now, one thing is that only Kylan and Trey and DGL to a smaller extent too, although he was along for the ride last year, this is all new to those guys. So, asking – KJ and Tommy and some of those others, what's it like to see March Madness plastered everywhere around here at Fiserv Arena and to just take it all in. And so that's cool for a new experience for these guys. But, yeah, outside of that, there's not a whole lot new to kind of gauge from it. They are just now kind of really diving in on Xavier after the game last night. Spectacular game between them and Texas. And one of the big talking points, of course, as I'm sure we'll continue to push forward all the way up to tip-off, is just how old and experienced that Xavier team is in comparison to Illinois. Very much younger and very much, Xavier has a bench guy in Jerome Hunter that is 25 years old. He's at Indiana in their class of 2018. And so, he's old. They got a lot of 23-year-olds. And that's kind of the main runaround as far as that goes. But a team that had some inspired practices, as you imagine, coming off a Big Ten tournament and trying to get their best out here where it matters most, and that'll be tomorrow night here in Milwaukee.
Now, I want to visit all about Xavier, and I'm glad that you mentioned that, but let me put that on pause for 2 seconds and talk about what happened today in the tournament in the Big Ten. Purdue gets past High Point, Wisconsin, a win over Montana. Were you able to see either of those games? And obviously, High Point gave Purdue a little bit of a battle, and McNeese, as we stand, leading 38-16, which I think for you and Hans, you both probably called that in your bracket, but imagine this, Pipes, getting to play a 13 and a 12 to get to the Sweet 16. That would be – I'm not saying that High Point wasn't good, and I'm not saying that McNeese won't be good if they end up beating Clemson, but that is one path you don't normally see very often to get to a Sweet 16.
No doubt, yeah. Sometimes it does come down to some of those breaks. Now, we've seen some of these Cinderella stories be really tough outs, and I'm sure Purdue, on the note of them, thought they had a gift by facing St. Peter's in the Sweet 16, and then they get beat by them.
Great point.
That's something that you just never really know who you're going up with. You let some of those smaller, David against Goliath situations, and you pump them with confidence, and they could be on steroids. So I did not get a chance. I was driving up this morning to Milwaukee. I didn't get a chance to see much of the games to date. Have been score watching, and actually they got the McNeese-Clemson game on the big video board right above the court right now as Illinois is out here shooting around and doing their thing. So I see how big of a blowout that is right now. But, yeah, I mean, Purdue, as far as the offense goes, Purdue and High Point, both really good offensive teams. Saw Braden Smith did his thing, 20-6 or whatever it ultimately was, and looked like a really balanced scoring effort for Wisconsin as well. And that's something that obviously they can get going and have shooters all over the place. And if Tanjay doesn't even have to hit you for 20-plus and they can light it up like that, that's what makes them really tough. And as we talked about earlier in the week, man, them and Bama in a Sweet 16 would be quite an offensive showcase. So but look forward to getting our work done here and later tonight really getting to lean back and maybe have a sudsy drink or two and watch all these games.
Let me ask you to set the scene a little bit there at what is the stadium called again? I can't figure it out.
The Fiserv Forum.
Fiserv Forum. Okay.
It's a really, really nice arena, and it's on the newer side of things. And, of course, Marquette plays here along with the Milwaukee Bucks. And, yeah, it's a good venue.
That's a nice deal for Marquette to be able to share an NBA stadium, essentially, or arena, et cetera, with an NBA team. That's pretty cool. So Illinois just has their press conference, and then do they now go out and shoot, correct? Is that right?
Yes. Yep, they're out here right now going through some shooting drills. And it's, as we were talking about, I don't know if we mentioned on the air or not, these are kind of just, there's nothing to take from them. I admittedly, I think this is maybe the lone chance they'll get it to shoot on this court, if I'm not mistaken. Before tomorrow night, they practiced off-site. They showed up in their practice gear and think they had a practice somewhere else earlier today. But they're kind of just getting the sight lines, getting the feel for the arena and everything like that. But just some light shooting, and usually they'll end off with a half-court shooting contest or something for some of the fans that have made their way out here. So just trying to keep it light, keep it loose, and it's all fun here today. No pressure today.
Awesome. I'm going to put Derek Piper on the spot. Illinois will now face the Xavier team, as you mentioned, that is an experienced team for sure. Is there another team in your mind that kind of comes to your mind really quick that Illinois would have played this year that kind of reminds you a little bit of Xavier, whether it be the experience, whether it be what they have? They've got a big guy underneath. They can shoot from the outside. Of course, the one young man who now I've already forgotten his name again, Hans helped me with it earlier, was 8 of 9, Foster. He was 8 of 9 from the court, 4 of 5 from deep. I don't expect him to do that again. And the fact that Xavier shot 55% for the game, including 48% from three. I'm hoping they got all that crap out of their system. Maybe Dayton's a good place to shoot baskets. I don't know. But is there a team that kind of reminds you that Illinois would have played this year that Illinois fans would say, okay, that makes sense?
Yeah, I was looking into that a little bit earlier today. Brad mentioned, just I'll give you his answer off the top, is he said that they remind him offensively at least of Wisconsin. And that's something that now they don't have John Tanjay on their team in terms of kind of a Terrence Shannon built wing that's going to really physically dominate you. Now, Brian Conwell is 6'4", 215. As a grown man type of team, they got strength. And plenty of scoring, and Conwell can light it up from beyond the arc. He had 38 against Marquette at the Big East tournament and knocked down 7 threes, which is a career high for him. And just around, I think kind of the Wisconsin comparison for Brad probably stems from just shooting everywhere, a stretch big man that you have to account for who's going to play probably more so out of the paint than inside of it. And at the same time, maybe that sacrifices some rim protection that allows you at the other end maybe to go at them and try to get to the bucket. So that's one. I think some of the numbers would suggest Missouri's maybe another one. An older team that shoots it well from three. And one thing that stood out in looking kind of at the analytics, I know I'm not telling you anything new, but this is one of the top transition offensive teams in college basketball. And Missouri's up there. The top three at the high major level in order: Florida, Missouri, and Xavier.
Wow.
So a team that in the open court can really, really hurt you. We saw them last night when they made Texas pay when they made mistakes. Their turnovers went the other way. 17 fast break points for them last night, and that's something where we know Illinois can turn it over. We know Illinois has some of those breakdowns that you want to try to avoid. You you don't want youthful mistakes because Xavier, their profile says they're going to make you pay for it.
Derek Piper joining us on the Tapman's Towing phone line. Derek, what does it say to you, though, that Xavier shot as well as they did and yet trailed the majority of that game, sometimes by 8 or 10 points, to a Texas team that obviously had a lot of talent? Trey Johnson, looked incredible. I mean, he does look like the real deal. But what does it tell you that maybe they played maybe one of their best games? I mean, Sean Miller after the game even said, look, this is one of the better games that I can remember being a part of. What does it say to you that they did all that, but yet had to really rally late to get that win?
I think it's a mark of an experienced team, one that didn't panic, one that had resilience and also composure enough. They still stepped up and made big shots, and their second half was really, really good of putting the pressure on Texas, and ultimately Texas just couldn't hold them off any longer. Now, I think the first half did show you Texas was impressive in that first half, and they are a team that you see their talent, their athleticism. When they have stretches of playing their best basketball, they were scary too. I think a lot of Illini fans probably sitting there at halftime like, boy, I don't like the way this Texas team looks. But I think that, 26 points in the paint in the first half for Texas shows you that Xavier doesn't have much rim protection. They don't have legit size up front. It allows, if you have the guards that can get there, of course it doesn't have to just be them. It can be the cuts from the wing. Will Riley's been awesome at that, Trey White. And then just the physicality up front, maybe of Tommy and Merez in particular, of can you hurt them inside? I think that's something that I look at for this matchup is something that maybe Illinois can do to them because, that's one of their big blemishes as far as who they've been is they're a very good offensive team. They shoot the three really well. They're kind of a sound veteran team, but they are shorter up front.
Sure.
And that's something you can hurt them with. And Fremantle got in foul trouble. They're big guys, 6'9", and I mean, I think he had 2 fouls by the first media timeout. Conwell had 3 fouls, their best scorer in the first half. So Texas put fouls on them. Now, to Xavier's credit, they were able to weather that storm, but that might be something you look at for tomorrow night. Can Illinois get Fremantle in foul trouble, or can they go to the rim and make that hurt?
You just missed, Derek, on CBS. I am listening to you, by the way. But on CBS, I happened to look over my right shoulder, and they had about a 30-second clip of Bruce Pearl just yelling different things. And I was like, what? And I looked at Hans, and I pointed at the TV, and then they brought up the stat of Auburn in the last 4 seasons. Of course, this would be the 4th. The last 3 seasons in NCAA, lost in the second round, lost in the second round, lost in the first round. And I was like, okay, so we're seeing like a crybaby Bruce and then the early exits. I like that. Although Auburn is up 19 right now. So I think they're not going to exit in the first round this year. I'll put it that way. All right, that's not my next question. I just had to bring you into that. My next question would be Illinois having a week off, essentially, from last Friday when Maryland, of course, handed whooping to the Illini in the Big Ten tournament second round. Did Brad mention anything today about what they've been able to get accomplished this week? Or, you and I talked a lot on the show how the last 3 weeks, Illinois has hardly played many games, and they've had a lot of practice time to get back to fundamentals, etc. But did Brad mention anything about what they were able to do, especially with the idea that you didn't know exactly who you were playing yet?
Yeah, I think that, Brad did mention today just kind of one of the big positives as far as Merez goes, getting his feet way back at the Big Ten tournament, now returning him to practice, trying to continue to get that rust off. That's something they focused on for sure. Kylan mentioned that Brad has really emphasized just kind of understanding the weight of this could be the end. Whenever you lose again, it's over. So you cannot come out as flat as you were against Maryland. You can't take that moment for granted and just feel like it's going to be free, it's going to be easy, or that you could be casual about it. So I think that's something that they have spent a lot of time trying to hammer home, drive home, not try to put too much pressure on it. I think it's always interesting, kind of the messaging from Brad to us versus maybe what it is to the team today. He was very positive, and not that I expected not to be, but about even the Maryland game. Hey, we got kicked in the teeth, and but we've had some days to go have 4 days of practice and work on some things, and sometimes that humbling before this can be a good thing. I know that's something that Kylan mentioned both after the loss, but also reemphasized again today. He said, hey, at Arizona, my freshman year, we won the Pac-12 tournament and thought we were hot stuff and turned around and lost to Princeton in the first round. So I think that's something that maybe it's a wake-up call. Maybe it is, they're trying to strike the right balance of what worked during the 4-game winning streak, what you can take away or just learn or whatever it might be from Maryland. And obviously you don't want to have a repeat of that. So we'll see. It is kind of that unknown with this team is what version's going to show up and have they truly matured and grown, or is this still a team that's going to have a dud and leave us all disappointed? I think we've got to kind of see it play out to really know.
I'm going to have Derek Piper be professional. You've got 1 minute here before I have to take a break. Give me a positive about Illinois that you're feeling going into this game tomorrow night.
I think the fact of Kylan's experience and the way he's come on here recently, I was pulling the stats, and I think over the last 6 games, he's in double figures in all of them. He's averaging about 16 points a game. A guy that inside the arc during that stretch shot 75%. So I know that for a long stretch of this season, we talked about, hey, maybe finishing at the rim needs to get better. But I think that's something that where he is embracing the driver's seat role for this team can kind of change some of the narrative that was around him last year. He kind of really faded into the background at Arizona as they lost in the Sweet 16. So he seems to be very willing to take that role. I think it's important that in a game where you're going to face a really, really experienced Xavier team, that you kind of have the experience factor work for you too.
Good point.
And Kylan. So I think between him and Trey, can they set the tone for you? Guys that have been here before, and I think Kylan gave some good stuff today about trying to elevate Kasparis and try to get him confident and not put too much pressure on himself. And we all know how big of an X factor KJ is going to be tomorrow night, and if this thing goes farther as it goes along. So can Kylan kind of try to help him and put him in a position to be really successful, and that's going to be key.
Well said. Before you go, you have a chance to remind Hans D., who's now on the air with you, that the Cardinals are a game ahead of the Cubs as we sit right now.
Yeah, no, it's really a big deal early in this season. Something that I was looking at the odds last night, and I don't know. I think the sports books are a little slow to adjust, but I think the Cardinals probably should be higher in the Central race as far as betting goes. Maybe it's a good time to bet the Cardinals. I don't know.
Yeah, you guys
see if
should
the
do
Cubs
that.
Can climb out of that hole.
No, please put a bunch of money on that, Derek and Lon.
Hans with you guys should do that.
Please.
Derek Piper, you have a great time in Milwaukee. Get us a couple of wins, please.
Appreciate you guys. Good talking.
Thank you, Derek. I mean that. Thank you very much. That's awesome. Derek Piper, co-host of The Drive with Tay and Piper. He's really cool, but not yet cool to have it's Tay and Piper. I have to remind him that every once in a while. Of course, with all the days I take off, it really should be Piper and Tay. I think we ought to look into changing that. Let's do that. All right, let's take a break. Next hour, we'll visit with Paul Fritchner. Get updated on Xavier and maybe some postgame from Illinois. We'll do it all next. Not postgame, pregame. Hello, Lon. It's The Drive.
It's great when hard work and experience are recognized. Hi, this is Ryan Heiser, President and CEO of Fisher National Bank. I am thrilled to share that Fisher National has been ranked 7th in the nation as a top lender in mortgage loans among banks with asset size of $300 million to $1 billion by our National Banking Association. This recognition is a testament to our lending team's dedication and expertise. After all, better banking experiences start with local people and local decision making. If you're in the market for a new home or considering refinancing your existing home, let our team at Fisher National Bank earn your business and trust. We offer competitive rates with low closing costs, and we locally service almost all of our loans. Come see us with all your home mortgage needs and experience the top-notch service that has earned us national recognition. Learn more at fishernational.com or stop by one of our branches today.
Fisher National Bank. Exceptional communities, exceptional people. Member FDIC, Equal Housing Lender.
At ABC, it's your chance to get that air conditioner and furnace you've needed. ABC Heating and Air Conditioning can now offer 12 months same as cash, 9.9% financing, or up to $2,000 cash back on residential Amana units. Whether you need a furnace and or air conditioner, you can take advantage of this deal through the end of March. ABC means always be comfortable. Let locally and family-owned ABC take care of you. Call Gina today at 217-352-5400 or visit abcheatingandac.com.
At Christie Clinic, our commitment is for the care of our community. That commitment includes keeping care local where our patients, their families, our clinics, and their hospital of choice are located. Our providers live and work here. It's their passion to care for their families and neighbors. Thank you for choosing Christie Clinic, your hometown provider. When you do, you support the health and well-being of your community.
School desks and students at the White House. President Trump just signing an executive order aimed at dismantling the Department of Ed and giving control back to the states.
My administration will take all lawful steps to shut down the department. We're going to shut it down and shut it down as quickly as possible. It's doing us no good. We want to return our students to the states.
He argues in part that despite trillions of dollars spent since the department was created in 1979, test scores show students failing proficiency in both reading and math. He says certain core functions of the department, including student loans, grants, and funding for children with disabilities, will continue through other agencies. Eliminating the department would likely need congressional approval. Senate Minority Leader Chuck Schumer calls the president's order destructive. The president also just signing an executive order to increase production of critical minerals in the U.S.
And as you know, we're also signing agreements in various locations to unlock rare earths and minerals and lots of other things all over the world, but in particular Ukraine.
Adding that a deal with Ukraine will be signed shortly. That was delayed by the February Oval Office blow-up with Ukraine's president. Nearly 1 year after a container ship lost power, hitting and collapsing a Baltimore bridge, federal safety investigators are calling on the owners of more than 60 bridges in 19 states to perform vulnerability assessments used to measure a ship's risk of collapsing from a ship strike.
The Maryland Transportation Authority never ran the calculation on the Key Bridge.
National Transportation Safety Board Chair Jennifer Homendy wants other bridge owners to determine whether countermeasures are needed and report their findings to the board. America is listening to Fox News.
Oh no, stomach issues again?
Stomach issues?
Who are you?
Your pancreas. I could be the real reason for your diarrhea, gas, bloating, stomach pain, or loose oily stools.
I thought it was my stomach.
People often do, but any of these symptoms could mean having a condition called exocrine pancreatic insufficiency, or EPI. With EPI, the pancreas doesn't release enough enzymes to break down food, but EPI is manageable. Use the symptom checker on identifyepi.com and speak with your doctor. That's identifyepi.com. Sponsored by AbbVie.
Are you having trouble hearing? Hearing loss can devastate the quality of your life. Now, there's an affordable fix for you or your loved one. Rated the best hearing aids of 2025 by Forbes Health, Audion Hearing has the highest quality hearing aids at the lowest prices, just $189.
I actually like them better than my old $5,000 hearing aids.
I could not believe how my hearing and life changed.
Join over 1 million happy customers by going to audionhearing.com. That's AUDIEN hearing.com.
Doge loses another round in court.
A U.S. District Judge in Maryland temporarily blocking the Department of Government Efficiency from accessing the Social Security Administration systems, granting an emergency request from labor unions and retirees who argue the databases contain millions of Americans' personal data, including Social Security numbers and addresses, violating privacy laws and increasing the risk of leaks. The Trump administration says the goal is to modernize the systems and uncover fraud. The judge describing Doge's actions as hitting a fly with a sledgehammer, saying it's launched a search for the proverbial needle in the haystack without any concrete knowledge that the needle is actually in the haystack, also requiring Doge to delete any sensitive data it has. Kristen Goodwin, Fox News.
Attacks on Tesla dealerships, individual cars, and charging stations have been on the rise since CEO Elon Musk began serving as a Trump advisor. Now, 3 suspects face federal charges.
The FBI is investigating as incidents have spread to multiple Tesla storefronts and charging stations in at least 11 states. A handful of arrests have been made around the country, but so far, the FBI has not said if they are connected.
Fox's Alicia Acuna. Federal prosecutors say suspects arrested in Colorado, Oregon, and South Carolina face charges related to property destruction, arson, and possession of Molotov cocktails. A former assistant football coach for the NFL's Baltimore Ravens and the University of Michigan is indicted, accused of hacking into the computer accounts of thousands of college athletes in search of intimate photos and videos. Matt Weiss is charged with multiple counts of unauthorized computer access and identity theft. He was fired from the Michigan job 2 years ago over failure to cooperate with the university's investigation of his computer access. Stocks finished lower, the Dow dropping 11 points after giving up earlier gains. I'm Lisa Brady, Fox News.
Good afternoon, everybody. It is The Drive, ESPN Radio 93.5, The Drive with Tay and Piper. As mentioned, no Pipes, no Kyle, but Hans D., our resident pilot now, who has spent most of his life here at SJ Broadcasting. I don't know what he's ever done or how much money he's ever made, but obviously he now makes in the millions. We know that, even though he works on occasion. But he's here with me today, and I appreciate him popping in because nobody else wanted to take the time today. For some reason, they were selfish and decided they'd rather drink beer and watch NCAA basketball, which I'm not going to lie to you, sounds pretty good. But, Paul, we are working right now, my friend. How are you, buddy?
Lon, I got to tell you, you need to give yourself some more credit for the multitasking you did in the last half hour because you were DMing me back and forth. You were on the air. You didn't miss a step in your segment. That was fantastic radio, and it's great to talk to you this afternoon.
Well, Paul Fritchner, I appreciate that coming from you. I mean that. I was also texting Piper in the same breath and going, oh, my gosh, all right, Piper can join us. It was kind of a last second. He wasn't sure if he would need to cover the Xavier press conference, so he was like, well, he just texted me and he's like, look, I can join you right now if you want. I'm like, let's do it. So it was great to get Derek Piper on from Milwaukee. Are you going to be in Milwaukee?
I will. I couldn't get up there today. I didn't finish recording my show until about 7 a.m. this morning. So by the time I woke up and figured that I probably shouldn't drive 7 hours on 2.5 hours of sleep. So I'll watch the press conferences today remotely, and then I'll get up there tomorrow.
I did not properly introduce you. I'm going to let you do it. I know you are the host of the Sean Miller podcast and other things. What exactly, Paul, can you give me your credentials before I start getting nitty-gritty on the Musketeers?
Yeah, absolutely, Lon. I co-host the Sean Miller podcast, like you said, and then I do a daily show called The Rebound Rundown. I actually just talked to Mike Latula.
Yeah.
Used to play at Illinois. I've gotten to know Mike really well over the last few months or so, and I just did about a 20-minute preview with him on The Rebound Rundown. You can find that on all podcast platforms, YouTube. But Mike's great. His breakdowns are really in-depth, really good stuff. So I just did that at 3 o'clock Eastern, so you can go back and listen to that if you'd like to.
That is excellent. I'm going to like that in case for some of my followers as well. I just happened to notice that in the middle of what I was doing with everything, trying to get everybody figured up and set up, I noticed that you had talked to Mike Latulip. He's a rising star in this business. He does a great job.
Yeah, he does. I mean, the work that he does at the Field of 68, I know whenever the Field of 68 is on and he hosts the show, the way that he kind of gets into the weeds and breaks down the game, but can also do it from that macro level as well, I think he does a great job.
Well, this will be my listening as soon as I'm done with this show on my way home to watch basketball the rest of the night. I'm going to catch you and Mike and hear what you guys had to say about this game that will occur on Friday night. Let's go backwards a little bit, Paul, to last night. I mentioned to Derek Piper, you may have heard me, I'm like, Xavier shoots 55% from the field. That's not unheard of. I know they're a great shooting team. And 48% from three, which is really spectacular, and yet trailed a lot of that game. What did you make of the fact that they were shooting so well, yet trailing, and then ultimately winning the game?
Well, there's a lot of dynamics that go into that, because what Xavier did so well over the last stretch run of the season was that they defended at a level they hadn't defended at earlier in the season. There were a lot of games. If you just look at Xavier's schedule, right, if you didn't watch a second of Xavier basketball this year and you just look at their records, you say to yourself, an 11-loss team, looks like they dropped some games that they shouldn't have dropped, and who knows what we're going to get tomorrow night. But really, if you look at Xavier, they are a few possessions away from being a team with a stellar record. I mean, they lost to TCU by 4 in a game that they were winning by 6. They lost to Cincinnati by 3 in a game they were winning by 7 with a few minutes left. Lost to Marquette by 2. Lost to UConn by 5 in overtime. Both of those were without Zach Fremantle. The defense at those points were letting them down. They couldn't close games. They would get up big, and they couldn't finish. But the difference, Lon, in the month of February is that the defense absolutely took it to another level. They were able to defend at a level they hadn't defended at in the first two-thirds of the season. Because of that, they were able to string together stops at the end of the games when they needed them, maybe when the offense wasn't clicking, and they were able to string together wins.
Makes sense.
Coming into the season, we thought this was a team, Lon, that was going to win games 95-90.
Wow.
And they are a very talented offensive team, but it was the defense at the end of the regular season that really made the difference. And look, their 3-point percentage right now, 6th best in the country.
Wow.
Their free throw percentage, 11th best in the country. They're a really talented shooting team, and it showed in the second half last night.
Couple of scary things. Number one, I feel like I'm making this up as we go. All right, Paul, just bear with me, because you nailed it when you said if you haven't watched Xavier play all year. I think I've only seen him one time, so I'm kind of making this up. I don't see Marcus Foster going 8 of 9 again from the floor, but maybe I'm wrong. But I see Ryan Conwell doing a lot better than 4 of 7 and 11 points, because he was in foul trouble most of the night. Who would be the one or two guys? Maybe I just mentioned him, and I know Fremantle good as well as their 6'9" guy inside. But who are a couple of guys, if you're an Illini fan, that you should really be worried about for Xavier tomorrow night?
Well, it's interesting you asked that, because I was listening to your segment with Derek. You were talking about the lack of NCAA tournament experience on Illinois. And look, this Xavier team is the second most experienced team in the country behind UCLA.
Wow.
Only UCLA has more Division I minutes on their roster than Xavier does. But the difference is only Jerome Hunter and Marcus Foster have NCAA tournament experience, and only Jerome Hunter had done it at Xavier. Marcus Foster, Lon, you remember that Furman team that beat Virginia 2 years ago on that crazy – he was on that team.
Okay.
He was on the court for that game winner. He's the only other player on Xavier's roster behind Jerome Hunter who has tournament experience. So last night when he starts going off, I was sitting there thinking to myself, you know what, I'm not surprised that Marcus is having this kind of a performance, because he's done this before. He didn't shoot that way in that game necessarily, but he's been on this stage. He knows what it's like to win a massive game in the NCAA tournament. He knows what it's like to have to perform at the highest level, and he did. And it was Jerome Hunter and Marcus Foster who willed Xavier to a win last night in the second half. Ryan Conwell and Dante Maddox, two of Xavier's best three-point shooters, were held without a three in the second half last night, and Xavier still scored 47 points.
Wow.
That's a mind-boggling number. If you follow this team, and I told you that neither one of those guys made a three and Xavier scored 47 and rallied to win down by 7 or 8 at the half, you would have looked at me like you were crazy. Dante Maddox and Ryan Conwell are the two guys that you're looking out for tomorrow. Dante Maddox comes off the bench. Ryan Conwell is one of the most talented shooters in the Big East. Both of those guys have the ability to really heat up and get hot. Ryan Conwell had 38 against Marquette. in the Big East quarterfinals last week. That was in a loss, but still the most that a Xavier player has ever scored in a game in the Big East tournament. He has been playing at his best here at the end of the season.
Incredible. Great stuff there from Paul Fritchner. Paul, I haven't known you except for today, essentially, and I want to thank you so much for a late notice and coming on the show, but I can tell you already I'm incredibly impressed by what you bring to the table when it comes to this, so I'm not afraid to ask you this next question. I'm sure you've seen Illinois play and you've done a little bit of a deep dive on the Illini. What do you think are some things that Illinois could do to really bother Xavier?
Yeah, I think the size inside is what would concern me. Obviously, you know what? Let me ask you a question here.
Yes.
Is it Ivicic or is it Ivicic?
Oh, wait, was I not supposed to I always say Ivicic. Tommy Ivicic.
Okay. Well, I've gone back and forth because I can't. Every time I watch a game, I feel like I'm hearing something else, and I'm going, all right, what? Because, as a broadcaster myself, I don't want to get that wrong, and if I say it wrong, everybody listening to this is just going to turn the dial and say, I don't know what I'm talking about, and I don't want that to happen because I feel like we're off to a good start here. So, anyway.
I think Brad Underwood says it wrong every other press conference, if that makes any difference. And same with Yakachonis and some of these others, and Humrickhouse. We don't know really how to say anybody's name. We just throw it out different each time and hope people understand.
All right, well, we'll go with Big T inside.
There you go.
Be a problem.
Tommy.
He could be a problem. Yeah, Big Tommy I inside. He'll be a problem tomorrow night for Xavier because where Xavier has done a lot better, in this stretch with their defense, especially, outside on the perimeter and even on the interior as well, they have had trouble, obviously, with some of their opposition's post presences. Now, Ryan Kalkbrenner, they did a phenomenal job against him a couple of weeks ago.
Nice.
And I think John Hughley, who has not gotten a lot of attention, he had a 3 last night that changed the game. He only had 3 points.
Right.
Hughley has a ton of power conference experience. He played at Oklahoma. He played at Pittsburgh. So he's been in a couple of big-time conferences. He's never played in the NCAA tournament. He was hurt when Pitt was in it. But still, he's a big body. So when Fremantle got into foul trouble last night, he was able to come in and give you a few minutes. The size on the inside, I think Illinois could be a matchup problem for Xavier. But the way that I've described Illinois, and I don't want to speak for this because your listening base is a lot more educated on Illinois than I am. But what I will say from having watched them casually all year is that it seems to me like Illinois is a team that has 2-seed potential, but is seeded as a 6 seed for a reason. Am I right on that?
You nailed it.
Okay, so if that's right, then this is a Xavier team to me that got the weight of an NCAA tournament win off its back last night. And the biggest thing to me is looking at what Xavier can do now that they've won a game in the tournament. You'll remember back in, I believe it was 2016. It was 2016. Sean Miller was on the wrong end of exactly this situation when he was at Arizona.
Yeah.
Wichita State beat Vanderbilt on, I believe it was a Tuesday. It was Tuesday in Dayton. Wichita State beats Vanderbilt and then comes in and smacks Arizona in a 6-11 game on Thursday. And Sean has talked about that a lot publicly in saying that it's definitely an advantage for a team who has played, who has the confidence that they've won an NCAA tournament game and can come in with that confidence 2 days later and play their game and feel free and feel like there's not as many nerves as there was last night. You could tell, I'll tell you could tell in the first 15 minutes of the game last night that Xavier was a team that had never played in the tournament before. That was obvious. And then they settled in the second half, and that's why they won the game. And that's why, if I'm a Xavier fan listening to this right now, I would have a lot of confidence going into tomorrow night. I think this is a fascinating game.
That's awesome stuff to hear. And it's funny. I actually, not funny, I don't know why we always say that, but I was actually listening to some Sean Miller today and heard him reference that exact game that you're talking about and basically saying, look, that stuff can happen. So that did put a little bit of scare in me as we go along. Paul Fritchner is our guest. He does the podcast with Sean Miller, the great coach for Xavier. Nobody's going to know Sean as well as you when it comes to talking with him all season. What has he done with this program, and how confident are you? Obviously, Brad Underwood is a really good coach. We understand that. But how confident are you knowing that Sean Miller's coming in to this NCAA first-round game now? I'd be second game for Xavier, and what he brings to the sideline for this squad?
Well, last night, I would say that obviously the players are on the court are the ones that got to score you the points. So, that you take that and you put it behind you. But the coaching won last night's game because
agree
the way that Sean had to manage the lineups when your two best players, Zach Fremantle and Ryan Conwell, got into foul trouble, the way that he had to manage the lineups was nothing short of spectacular because those two guys going out last week in the Big East quarterfinal against Marquette. It was the 13-minute mark in the second half. Xavier was up by 9, and they tried to buy an extra minute of rest for Ryan Conwell and Zach Fremantle. They took them out of the game, into the under-12 media timeout, tried to get them a little extra rest. Well, in that little segment there, they cut the lead, Marquette did. They cut it down from 9-2, and from that point on, it was really Marquette's game the rest of the way, and Xavier really didn't have a shot. So last night, I'm sitting there watching it. I watched Zach Fremantle go out. I watched Ryan Conwell go out. And all of a sudden, it's like a war story from last Thursday where I'm sitting there thinking to myself, is this the same book? Is this the same chapter in this book that's about to be written where your two best players go out and you just can't overcome that loss? Well, last night, they did. And if they did it in just the tactful way that they needed to manage the roster. And so that's where I would say, from a coaching perspective, Brad Underwood, obviously a very, very talented coach. Nobody listening to this needs to be, told about that.
Sure,
we know what he's done over his career. But from Sean's perspective, he's been in the NCAA tournament before, and the one thing that has avoided him has been a Final Four. He's never been to a Final Four, and I think that was a lot of it. He's never been to a Final Four, and neither has Xavier. And I think that is a motivating factor for him, that it's that marriage of a school that's trying to reach the mountaintop and a coach that's trying to check a box that he hasn't checked yet, because he's done just about everything. He's won conference regular season titles. He's put players on AP All-American teams. He's, won conference tournament titles. He's done all of that. He's gotten to the second weekend. He's gotten to the Elite Eight.
Sure.
But he's never made a Final Four, and neither has Xavier. And whether this year is the year or not, I think that Sean Miller understands that this is a program that he wants to take to that third weekend of the NCAA tournament. And this team has the shooting and has the experience to pull off something crazy. And last thing I'll say on this, back in 2017, the last time Xavier made the Elite Eight, they were an 11 seed. They did it the hard way.
Wow.
And so we'll see if maybe they can kind of write that same sort of narrative this week.
I'm not going to bother you much longer, Paul, but I do have a baseball question, by the way, at the end.
All right, well, Lon, hold on.
Yeah.
You can bug me as long as you want.
All right.
I got the YouTube TV quad box in front of me. I got nothing else going on. I'm watching Clemson get smacked by McNeese. Whatever you want to talk about, I'll talk ball with you as long as you want, Lon. I know you got to pay the bills to a commercial break at some point. But whatever you want to talk about, we can do it.
Listen, Paul's going to join us now every week, which is awesome. This is going to be great. Hey, I did notice I turned over my right shoulder. The TV's not exactly ideal in our studio here. I've got to kind of crop over my right shoulder to see it, but I did see Clemson brought it to within 13, so at least it's a little bit of a game going right now.
Yeah, no doubt. Yeah, they've been kind of chipping away at it, but McNeese is just doing that kind of Heisman stiff arm, keeping them at bay. So, yeah, we'll see.
And they just scored. Let's go a couple of quick questions about college basketball in general, and I'm going to go more Big Ten. I know you're kind of based out of Cincinnati. You know the Ohio area well. What do you think of Ohio State and the dud that happened to Iowa in the Big Ten tournament? Does that put any kind of pressure and now all of a sudden Hans D and I were talking about this earlier. I'm just getting to I'm so old that I remember something 15 seconds later. I can't think of the Ohio State coach right now, but it'll come to me in 15 seconds after you say it, of course.
Diebler.
There you go, Diebler.
Yeah, Diebler.
Gosh dang it. What do you think of that? And I don't feel like that puts him on a hot seat, but what is the thought process with Ohio State losing that game against a really bad Iowa Hawkeye squad and then not making the tournament?
Yeah, I think it's frustrating for Ohio State fans to see a team that had potential this year with the roster they put together, and then on I think it was back on like December 21st, somewhere in there, it was before Christmas, they beat Kentucky by 20 at Madison Square Garden, and at that point in the season, Ohio State was probably 4 games over 500. They were something like 8-4, 7-4, 8-4, somewhere in there.
Yep.
And you know what? I could just pull up KenPom. They were 8-4. They beat Kentucky by 20 on December 21st.
Wow.
Won 85-65. You're 8-4. You go into Big Ten play at 9-4, and you're sitting there as an Ohio State fan. You think to yourself, all right, Diebler has a year under his belt.
Yep.
You know, he comes in as the interim. He finishes it off, you know, on a high note enough that he gets the job. Now he has the full-time job. I don't think he's anywhere near the hot seat or anything like that. But it was definitely a letdown toward the end of the year where you win at home against Washington on February 12th. You go to 15-10, and then you have a huge stretch, 2 at home against Michigan and Northwestern, and then you go on the road to UCLA and you lose all 3.
Wow!
And then you come home to end the season, or you come back to end the season. You go 2-1 down the stretch. But I think the problem is Ohio State was right there in the NCAA tournament conversation for so long that they just never felt like they got over the hump. It never felt like in Big Ten play after they beat Purdue in late January on the road in West Lafayette. Like, that was the point in the season where you're like, okay, they're 3 games over 500, they're 11-8. Things are going to roll, right? You went into Purdue, a place that nobody went.
Right.
And you went into Purdue and you won that game. And then, well, I will say, you know, just couldn't finish it.
No.
You know, couldn't finish the job. And so I'm not going to say that Diebler's on the hot seat after a year, but I will say that there's definitely a lot of frustration.
Interesting. Bruce Thornton has never played in the NCAA tournament. Are they
That's crazy?
It is. Are they worried about him leaving? It's so weird that I even asked that question now, but you have to in today's world of college sports. I mean, is there any chatter about him possibly uprooting and going somewhere different?
Well, I can't sit here and say I would know any more than you would on the Ohio State front. But I would say, you know, just in general, with the age of the transfer portal, when you get these high major guys that, you know, their careers start to see their years go by, and you want to play in the tournament, and you have to see what's best for me, and you know what kind of a decision do I want to make? Does he come back? Does he not? I have no idea. But from that perspective, I mean, for as talented of a player as he is, yeah, that's because you lose him, and then what do you do?
Right. That would be a big loss and a great gain for somebody else. Now, Paul, I'm a proud Saluki, and I had to watch Darren DeVries beat my SIU squad plenty of times at Drake, and then he finally leaves, and I'm like, yeah, get out of here and take your kid with you. And then he goes to West Virginia, and he says, you know, I'm so proud to be here. I can't wait to be here for 35 years, and then, boom, now he's the Indiana head coach. I joke. I really don't care. They say the same thing in press conferences, whatever. It is what it is. What is your take on him taking the Indiana job, and do you think that's a good hire by the Hoosiers?
Well, for one thing, I think it's a good hire.
I do
right?
too.
And I think it's a good hire. It is very interesting looking at the 2 different coaching hires that are going on right now, playing out in a public fashion between Will Wade potentially going to NC State and then DeVries going from West Virginia to Indiana, where Will Wade has been very transparent with everything, right? I mean, he was upfront with the fact that NC State was talking to him during the season, and it's almost as if that transparency has helped this McNeese team, because a lot of times you'll hear, you know, a team will lose in the NCAA tournament, the coach leaves the next day, and then the fan base immediately just says, "Oh, the coach gave up on the season." Well, that look, if you're around a coach, it doesn't matter if maybe he's already thinking about going somewhere else. It does not matter. That coach does not want to lose in the NCAA tournament. I do not. That is one of the most frustrating arguments in sports, that a coach will just give up on their team playing at the most important time of the season. That does not happen to the extent that fans might think it does. But what I will say is, watching how the two situations played out, where West Virginia fans now are obviously extremely frustrated that DeVries ups and leaves after a year when he says he wants to be at West Virginia forever. And I know that that's what you have to say to win the press conference on day one. You know, we're all smart enough to know that. But at the same time, it's like 1 year, right? 1 year and you're already going somewhere else. Whereas Will Wade, look, McNeese is about to go to the second round of the NCAA tournament, and it looks like his players are. It's almost, you know what it's almost like, Lon? It's almost like this McNeese game is a tryout for guys that might want to go to NC State or wherever Will goes next, you know?
Amen. That is so true. You just nailed it. Hans D., my partner here, just was like, yep, that's exactly what is happening. All right, Paul, this is it. This is the last one I ask you. By the way, if you want to follow Paul on Twitter, it's his name. It's simple, at Paul Fritchner. Not that Fritchner's simple, but it's FRITSCHNER. It's just like there's no silent Z or anything, so just like it sounds. I assume you know the Reds pretty well. Are you a Reds fan by chance?
So I grew up in D.C. So I followed the Nationals, you know, up until they won the World Series in 2019 and moved to Cincinnati full time. But I was always a Reds fan before the Nats came to town growing up.
Very
so I kind of go back and forth. But I do follow the Reds pretty closely,
Okay.
and living a few miles from the stadium. You know, with both the Reds and the Nats not being great the last few years, it's been a little more entertaining for me to follow the hometown team and the rebuild. So I'm assuming, since you're an NL Central guy, you're about to ask me about the Reds.
I am, but I'm going to get personal, and you're going to love this. It's going to blow your mind. And by the way, I just thought of this as a Cardinals fan. Hans D. is a Cubs fan, so I don't turn his mic on. Although the Cardinals are now, and the Reds, a game ahead of the Cubs, as we said.
Well, yeah, the Cubs are in last place. You can let them vent if you want. Hey, go ahead.
Hans, you got anything to add to that? You know, last place?
No comment.
No comment. Hans D. Paul Hans D. he was an intern with us for years, and now has his pilot license and flies private jets all over the world. Not in the world, but all over the country. I mean, he'll text me one day. He's like, "Yeah, I'm in Palm Beach." The next day he's in Palm Springs. I'm like, it must be nice, And then he did me a favor today and came in and joined me for the show. Wonderful young man. He's actually my oldest son's same age. They golf together, and that's how I got to know Hans. So it's a cool story. But back to the Reds. The owner of this radio station that you're on right now, Stevie J, his daughter married Jacob, am I going to say this right? Herbertes. Is that how you say it?
Yeah, it's close enough.
Okay.
I got the point.
So how about that? And he is battling for a last spot on the Reds. I was going to ask you if you knew anything about that and what you think of his chances.
I got to say, and this is going to be a terrible answer for radio.
Yeah, Herbertes. My fault.
In the depths of college basketball season,
right.
I don't really get a chance to keep up with spring training as closely as I should.
Fair enough.
So I don't really have a question on our guy Jacob's roster status as of this point, but you give me until April 7th, and I'll give you the lowdown on whatever you need to know about Big J.
Let's go. We may have Paul back on then. That's great. Herbertes, that's how you say that thing. And listen, I appreciate your transparency on that, and it's completely understood. Paul, I've kept you on way too long. It has been great. I thank you for the late notice and coming on, and I appreciate all the information on Xavier. Safe travels to Milwaukee. Hopefully it's a great game tomorrow night.
Lon, can I ask you one question real quick?
Yes.
Hey, so Hans, can you do me a favor? Can you take your private jet and just fly it from Champaign to Cincinnati? Fly it right into Lunkin. You pick me up, and the three of us can go up to Milwaukee tomorrow, all right? That'll save me about 7 hours on the road.
That sounds like a fantastic plan, Paul.
Okay.
I'll say 9 a.m. tomorrow, bright and
Perfect.
early, perfect skies.
Perfect.
Yeah.
I'll see you there.
Okay.
Great.
Yeah,
Thanks, guys.
and you can't drink. Hans, because you're flying. Paul can't drink because he's covering. I'll be the one drinking in the plane, if that's cool, Paul.
Yeah, you drink for all three of us. That's fine.
I can handle that.
I know it'll pain you to do it. It'll pain you to do it, but I trust you can make it happen.
I can do it, buddy. Hey, Paul, thanks, buddy. Have a great weekend and enjoy the tournament.
Hey, you ever want me back on, even
Amen.
if it's still a segment, I'll do it.
You're the man. Thank you, Paul. I appreciate
later.
that. I will take you up on it. Great stuff. Paul Fritchner. That was awesome.
Yeah, it was.
I literally did not know Paul before today, and Derek Piper had sent me his name. I had reached out to Derek and said, hey, is there someone that covers Xavier that you would recommend? And he sent me Paul's name. So I DM'd Paul. He immediately said yes. And as you just found out the last 30 minutes, he is a great listen.
Yeah.
That is awesome. These young kids, Hans, like you, these young kids, man, they're so impressive. He reminds me of a guy like Trevor Valise, Isaac Trotter, obviously Kyle, who works with us. I mean, gosh dang it. It's hard to believe that at that age, I did know a lot about sports.
Mm-hmm.
But now I just don't know names. I don't know anything.
Sure.
I just sit here and try to fill 2
But
hours.
it sounded like he's been on the show multiple times.
Oh, my goodness. He was a great listener.
Yeah,
that is
absolutely.
awesome. That was wonderful. And I'll probably take him up on that sometime and have Paul back on because I guarantee you he can talk any sport and has knowledge of anything. So that would be fun to do. Very fun. All right, listen, the post-game, or God, why do I keep saying post-game? The pregame, the press conference of Brad Underwood heading into Xavier is up. We're going to come back and play that. What if we don't get to who you got?
Tomorrow?
We could do it tomorrow.
Yeah, we could.
We could do that tomorrow. Or what if we take a break, come back, do a quick?
We could do a very quick one. Just choose like the kind of the best games.
Yeah. And then play Brad. Or what if we do this? Brad's 8 minutes. Let's take a quick break, come back, play Brad, quick break. We'll finish with who you got. We can do this.
Yeah.
All right, I'm going to quit talking. We're back. It's The Drive.
This is XYZ Insurance. How can I help?
I have a question about my home policy.
Okay, question about phone policy.
Home policy.
Okay, gnome policy.
HOME, home.
Technology is great, but sometimes it's better to talk with a real person. With Erie Insurance, you have a caring, independent agent who's with you from beginning to end.
We don't have any HOMEs on record.
Your Erie agent in Champaign is Thomas & Ellers Insurance. Go to erieinsurance.com for company licensure and product details.
At Pards in Urbana, the boots just keep on coming. They're known for their huge collection of men's cowboy boots, women's cowgirl boots, kids' boots, and even shoes. If you're searching for top footwear brands, look no further than Pards. They carry a wide variety, including Ariat, Dan Post, Smoky Mountain, Roper, Double H, and more. And if socks or accessories are what you need, they've got all your high-quality essentials. Since 1968, Pards has been serving their customers with high-quality merchandise. And if you haven't been to Pards in a while, a lot has changed. Go check them out just off University Avenue in Urbana.
Carpet Weaver's Flooring and Furniture Gallery has savings store-wide for the anniversary sale. Installation is half off Mohawk's waterproof luxury vinyl floors. The installation is free for Mohawk Carpet. And get up to $1,000 instant rebate on Mohawk carpets and floors. Instant rebates on all furniture. Plus, buy it all 2 years free financing. Don't miss the anniversary sale going on now at Carpet Weavers.
I need to speak with someone in charge, a manager. Who's the manager?
Yes, ma'am. This is Paul Reekin from Dick Van Dyke Appliance World. How can we help out?
Picture this, Paul from Dick Van Dyke, if that's your real name.
I'm also not wearing khakis, but go ahead.
I get home from work and I need a cold drink with ice. And instead of feeling that cool, refreshing air, I get warm air and a whiff of rotten meat.
That's gross.
So here's what I need, Paul from Dick Van Dyke. I need a new refrigerator.
We have hundreds in stock.
Don't get fresh with me, mister.
Excuse me?
I need it delivered tomorrow.
We have next day delivery guaranteed Monday through Saturday.
I want it at this price.
We guarantee the best deal.
I want an extended protection plan.
I'll give you one for free.
No, don't get smart with me, young man.
No joke. It's free, and I'm 49.
Well, wow.
That's what we say, but why did you ask for a manager?
How else would I get this deal?
You don't need the manager. We do this for everyone, every day at Dick Van Dyke Appliance World. And just like Dad says,
wow.
When you buy from us, you get the whole store.
Hey, where are you headed?
To Kelsey Furniture in Tuscola.
What do they have there?
What don't they have there? Living room furniture, benches, chests, love seats, sectionals, tables, bedroom sets, hutches, nightstands, end tables, cabinets, mirrors, stools, clocks, lamps, pillows, rugs, desks, media consoles, patio furniture, Tempur-Pedic mattresses, and more.
So, everything.
Yeah, probably could have just said that.
Kelsey Furniture, quality for less.
Hi, this is Ross Craig with Philo Exchange Bank. Do you need a loan? When it comes to personal or commercial lending, experience matters. Philo Exchange Bank is a different kind of bank with over 135 years of combined lending experience. Let us be your trusted partner. Unlike many other banks, our lending decisions are made quickly and efficiently within the walls of the bank.
Philo Exchange Bank, hometown community banking since 1883. Member FDIC, equal housing lender.
In 1925, a small plumbing company began its journey in Urbana, Illinois. Over the decades, the business grew thanks to hard work and great people. In 1966, things changed when Dave Reichard, a veteran, met veteran Ken Asklin, who was an architectural engineering grad from Illinois. The two realized their shared vision for excellence. Their partnership took root, and in 1975, the name changed to A&R Mechanical. With Dave as president and Ken as vice president, A&R Mechanical expanded services, becoming the go-to full-service contractor for all of Central Illinois. A&R went from a plumbing-only contractor to a full-service mechanical contractor with their own sheet metal shop. Today, A&R is a plumbing, heating, ventilation service company with the same excellence in customer service as they provided nearly 100 years ago. Design, build, and maintain. That's what served A&R Mechanical for nearly 100 years. Find them at Lincoln and Kettering in Urbana or online at ar-mech.com.
Not every remodel project is as easy as the couple on the Home Improvement Channel make it look. From old furniture to construction debris, a home remodel can quickly turn into a junk pile. Two Men in a Junk Truck is here to make your home improvement dreams a reality. They offer hassle-free junk removal and dumpster rentals to clear the way for your next big project.
Perfect.
Use code REMODEL25 to save $25 on your next service. Two Men in a Junk Truck, making your home improvement journey a breeze. Visit twomeninajuncktruck.com. Offer valid at Two Men in a Junk Truck, Champaign, Illinois.
That's pretty bad. It is The Drive, ESPN Radio 93.5. I would say hi to Hans, but we got to get to Brad Underwood so that we can get to who you got. So let's hear from our guy, Brad Underwood, head coach, University of Illinois. In case you forgot that. Here's Brad.
I do think it's where Illinois belongs every year. So a lot of people to thank for that. A lot of really good players, every season has its own character, takes on its own personality, and this one's been no different. But we're really excited for this group that they get to see what this is all about. This is why all the hard work is for and why it pays off, and excited to be here.
And after the ups and downs, do you feel like, as Morez said, we're whole now, that this is the time everybody can see what this Illini team is all about?
Yeah, I think we've played a very challenging schedule for a reason. I think that the rigors of the Big Ten help prepare you for moments like this. Obviously, the injuries and the sickness and everything that happened and transpired during this season has helped us grow. It's created adversity. It makes you tougher. We're finally healthy. Best part of the Maryland game was Morez got to kick some rust off, and a lot of it. We've had 4 really quality practices. I think we're fresh, both physically and mentally, and we got a great opponent. We've got to go out and compete at a very high level. That's every game of this tournament is you have to be at your best.
And this Xavier team, I mean, they got guys that don't get carded at the liquor store. They got some old guys in their 20s, grown men.
It's a good way to think about it. Good way to think about it. All of our guys get carded. So, that's Sean's a great coach. They've played for a few weeks for their life, and been very, very good at doing that. So they remind me a lot of Wisconsin, and some Iowa similarities in the pace and ball screen motion that they run, the amount of threes they take, and they get going. they're scary. I think the last 5 or 6 games are number 1 in the country in 3-point field goal percentage, and obviously beat a very good Texas team last night.
To that point, Brad, can you run with them tomorrow night, or if they make this frantic, are you in trouble?
We run with everybody. I mean, it's
I'm looking at 17 fast break points from them last night. Is that something where you go, okay, we got to figure that out?
Yeah, you got to get, but no one does it better than them. Nobody does it. Well, Wisconsin, Iowa, both of those teams are. Xavier does an unbelievable job of getting the ball out of the net and pushing it. They score 1 or 2, then we've got to run it right back at them. It's who we are. It's what we've done. We're averaging 85 points a game, and that's who we are.
Brad, the difference in experience, what has to happen to where that doesn't hurt you as far as, is it Kylan, is it Trey?
Shoot it, dribble it, pass it, defend it. That doesn't have an age on it. You just go out and you just hoop. And it's like going to the park in the summer. You get against the old guys and you just hoop and you try to kick their tail. And age doesn't matter out here. It's the freshmen aren't freshmen anymore, and that's why we've been on a lot of pretty big stages and played a lot of quality opponents and played a lot of teams a lot older than us already. So we're just going to go do what we do and be committed to our process.
Brad, to that point, Kylan was talking a little bit about how this team from the summer till now is kind of unrecognizable. It's not the same team. You guys have grown so much. How much has this team grown, especially given the injuries, the illness that you guys had to go through in February?
A lot. We've got 10 new guys. I don't know. Somebody's told me like 138 minutes of NCAA tournament experience, and there's a lot of room for growth when you have that. It's all about them, their ability to want to be coached, their ability to want to listen, to want to grow together. Kylan, Trey White, Draven, all those guys that have played, played at the Division I level. Their roles have been huge in terms of helping lead us. And then there's a maturity with Tommy and Kasparis, and that has helped as well. But these guys have been great listeners. They've wanted to learn. I've had the absolutely incredible time coaching them because they're fun and they love the game of basketball. So it's been a lot of fun to watch this group grow.
Xavier pretty much played a home game last night in Dayton, but you get your turn Friday night being so close to the state line. How does that feel to be a bus ride, a car ride for a lot of folks to get up here?
I'm happy for our fans. And we got the best fans in the country. Their passion, they travel everywhere. That's one of the beauties of this is we feel like we've got a great fan base, and they'll show up and be very, very supportive. They're going to have fans here too, and there'll be some other schools represented extremely well, and we've got to make sure that we just go play and not get too wrapped up in all that.
Talking to the international guys about March Madness, it's interesting that the kids here, you know it from when they're little and playing on the playground, but it's all new to them. It's not just the first time in it, but just experience March Madness in and of itself is new for them. How do you think they're going to adapt to it?
Well, I think they'll be fine. I think they've been in a lot of big venues. If you watch any EuroLeague type stuff, all the venues are pretty rowdy. But it's a great experience for them. I want them to enjoy it. I want them to have fun. I want them to take it all in. It is different. You can't you can't mimic it during the course of the year. And then there's there's something we talk about all year is being in this tournament, and so they're aware of it, but basketball's still got to go in, and we still got to stop the other team from trying to do that, and those are the the important things of the game.
Brad, it seems like Kylan has really taken KJ under his wing through this ride. How important is that, especially maybe now that you are on this stage?
Huge. Yeah, leadership is huge, and it's great when it comes from within, and it's not me. It's there's guidance there. There's tremendous response from KJ because he's listening and he's learning, and I think the camaraderie that those two have, KJ's respect for Kylan is tremendous, and vice versa. And all KJ wants to do is be great, and he knows that, and Kylan knows that. And Kylan knows how good a player he is. So it's been fun to really watch that relationship grow.
Coach, what kind of response have you seen from your team following their experiences at the Big Ten tournament?
Great. We had a great one. We beat a really good Iowa team, and Merez got to kick the rust off in the Maryland game, in a game that kind of surprised us, I guess. From Maryland punched us, and we didn't respond very well. That's on me. I thought we were really flat. We've had 4 practices. We took Tuesday off in terms of just stretching and lifting. And shooting some balls, but didn't do anything that day. But I think we're fresh mentally. I think we're in a better spot now because Merez got to kick the rust off, and we've had some very productive practices. Thank you.
Thanks, Brad.
Sarah Champagne's Ben Quattrone on keeping his employees.
It's got to be the place to work. We have to pay the best. We have to treat people the best. Some of the guys wanted to order pizza the other day. Well, we bought 30 Papa Del's pizzas. BMW had the best month they've ever had. They said, can we have a cookout? Saturday, I cooked like 50 ribeye steaks. And they were expecting like cheese, burgers and hot dogs and stuff. Like, if I'm eating steak, you're eating steak. We both eat steak, we both eat hamburger.
Learn more at sarahchampagne.com. Well, tell me, Tim Onstad, lawn mowing season soon. Dixie Chopper, dedicated diesel. It's off Route 45 as you're heading toward Rantoul. You turn left on Triumph Drive till you can't drive anymore, and you'll be right there. And you got some Dixie Choppers I could buy.
Oh, yeah. Andy's got his hands full with Dixie Choppers, and stop by, see Andy, get a great deal on a mower.
Fastest mower you can buy, so you don't have to spend 2 hours out there. You might spend 45 minutes, and plus, Andy can tune it up or fix it.
Sure he can. Yeah, we got a full shop ready to go. Whatever you need.
When it comes to early on here in the spring, it can be, weeds up to your mid-thigh or whatever. So sometimes you need a really tough kind of mower to get through all that in the brush.
Well, yeah, these are built solid. They'll get through that stuff, and all of the structural components have a great warranty. So if something does go wrong, we can definitely get it fixed. Get Andy at Dedicated Diesel, 217-328-0562, or Dedicated Equipment on Facebook.
Not every remodel project is as easy as the couple on the Home Improvement Channel make it look. From old furniture to construction debris, a home remodel can quickly turn into a junk pile. 2 Men and a Junk Truck is here to make your home improvement dreams a reality. They offer hassle-free junk removal and dumpster rentals to clear the way for your next big project.
Perfect.
Use code REMODEL25 to save $25 on your next service. 2 Men and a Junk Truck, making your home improvement journey a breeze. Visit 2menindajuncktruck.com. Offer valid at 2 Men and a Junk Truck, Champaign, Illinois.
Take charge of the years ahead with a smart, sound investment strategy and business succession plan. Busey Bank's business and wealth management experts help you envision your best future with powerful insights and proven strategies. Building business and growing wealth since 1868, Busey Bank, proud to be the official bank of the Fighting Illini. Member FDIC.
Watch all the NCAA tournament games at Pia's. You can always find a crowd at Pia's enjoying wings, burgers, and great appetizers. Tournament specials include $4 22-ounce light and Coors Light drafts, $15 buckets of bottled beer, $4.50 Surfside teas, and $5 Tito's drinks. Visit Pia's J&J Gaming area and check in through Player Payback to enter to win some terrific signed jerseys from Nick Anderson and Devin Witherspoon. Pia's, 1609 West Springfield Avenue in Champaign.
It is The Drive, ESPN Radio 93.5. The Drive with Tay and Piper. Latte, Hans D. Thanks again for joining us. And then you probably did all this work on Who You Got. And now we're not going to be able to use it. I'm trying to figure out something here, and it's not going well. But Derek Piper is calling me, so we got to take a quick break. Does that work?
Yeah.
Okay, hold on. I'm going to take a quick break. We'll be back. It is The Drive.
If you're in the market for a new car battery, you could go to one of those big box stores, except there's no guarantee you'll be served by an actual car expert.
Clean up in aisle 3.
You could pick a battery off the shelf, except it might be close to expiring. Or you could just come into Interstate. Don't make a big box store blunder. With competitive prices and a more personal, reliable approach, Interstate Batteries is the clear-cut choice if you want to guarantee yourself a new and trustworthy car battery. They're open and ready to serve you at 2504 North Mattis Avenue in Champaign.
You've set your financial goals. One kid plans to go Big Ten, the other Ivy. Your bucket list includes seaside sunrises and sunsets on the slopes, or perhaps a second home away from it all. Busey Bank can help develop the right investment strategy to take charge of the years ahead. Busey Bank, building business, growing wealth since 1868. Proud to be the official bank of the Fighting Illini. Member FDIC.
I need to speak with someone in charge, a manager. Who's the manager?
Yes, ma'am. This is Paul Reekin from Dick Van Dyke Appliance World. How can we help out?
Picture this, Paul from Dick Van Dyke, if that's your real name.
I'm also not wearing khakis, but go ahead.
I get home from work and I need a cold drink with ice. And instead of feeling that cool, refreshing air, I get warm air and a whiff of rotten meat.
That's gross.
So here's what I need, Paul from Dick Van Dyke. I need a new refrigerator.
We have hundreds in stock.
Don't get fresh with me, mister.
Excuse me?
I need it delivered tomorrow.
We have next day delivery guaranteed Monday through Saturday.
I want it at this price.
We guarantee the best deal.
I want an extended protection plan.
I'll give you one for free.
Now, don't get smart with me, young man.
No joke. It's free, and I'm 49.
Well, wow.
That's what we say, but why did you ask for a manager?
How else would I get this deal?
You don't need the manager. We do this for everyone, every day at Dick Van Dyke Appliance World. And just like Dad says, wow.
When you buy from us, you get the whole store.
Fighting Illini fans, your Illinois football team is coming off a 10-win season as Citrus Bowl champs. This fall, Illinois returns 18 starters from the Citrus Bowl victory, including star quarterback Luke Altmaier for a third straight season. Led by head coach Brett Bielema, the Fighting Illini are listed on nearly every major top 25 ranking for the 2025 season. Stay up to date on all things Fighting Illini football at fightingillini.com. We can't wait to see you back in Memorial Stadium this fall.
Carpet Weaver's Flooring and Furniture Gallery has savings store-wide for the anniversary sale. Installation is half off Mohawk's waterproof luxury vinyl floors. The installation is free for Mohawk Carpet. And get up to $1,000 instant rebate on Mohawk carpets and floors. Instant rebates on all furniture. Plus, buy it all 2 years free financing. Don't miss the anniversary sale going on now at Carpet Weavers.
Well, tell me, Tim Onstad, lawn mowing season soon. Dixie Chopper, dedicated diesel. It's off Route 45 as you're heading toward Rantoul. You turn left on Triumph Drive. Drive till you can't drive anymore, and you'll be right there. And you got some Dixie Choppers I could buy.
Oh, yeah. Andy's got his hands full with Dixie Choppers, and stop by, see Andy, get a great deal on a mower.
Fastest mower you can buy, so you don't have to spend 2 hours out there. You might spend 45 minutes, and plus, Andy can tune it up or fix it.
Sure he can. Yeah, we got a full shop ready to go. Whatever you need.
When it comes to early on here in the spring, it can be, weeds up to your mid-thigh or whatever. So sometimes you need a really tough kind of mower to get through all that in the brush.
Well, yeah, these are built solid. They'll get through that stuff, and all of the structural components have a great warranty. So if something does go wrong, we can definitely get it fixed. Get Andy at Dedicated Diesel, 217-328-0562, or Dedicated Equipment on Facebook.